This is the ExtraTime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast, and perhaps you can hear the Dundalk fans over to my right as I look onto the pitch in Weavers Park celebrating because they have won the 172nd Louth Derby. Keep in mind, they lost on both occasions that they played here last season, so this is a big win, and it came through a Malley goal, his second of the season in the league, an early birthday present for him. He turns 23 on Monday. Drogheda had chances to go ahead in the first half. They didn't take them. Markey had the best of them. In the second half, late on, they had a penalty, which Draper took, but Shepherd saved. Now, Draper went off injured after picking up an injury in the ensuing scramble following that save. So let's hope that he is okay. Coming up, the thoughts of Paul Crowley, formerly of Shamrock Rovers, Dundalk, Drogheda, St Pat's and Waterford, to name just a few. He also played for Shells. He was on LOI TV duty tonight. But first, let's get some reaction from both camps. After a win for Dundalk that puts them third, and a defeat for Drogheda, just their second of the season, that leaves them sitting fifth. This is the ExtraTime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. By the time you're listening to this, it is most likely St Patrick's Day. I'm joined by goal scorer for Dundalk tonight, Conor Malley. How did it feel to get your second goal for Dundalk tonight, your second in the league?
Yeah, obviously it was a fantastic feeling. I don't think in terms of performance it could have been a lot better in some respects. But no, look, we defended our box well. We stood up to the task well, and we were able to find the moment of quality through Rayan and myself to see the game, get 3 points.
Talk to me about the move, because it looked like you knew exactly what you were doing. It looked like a set piece in play, if that makes sense. So talk me through from when maybe Andy got the ball and broke down the left and you knew maybe to get into the position.
Yeah, I know. Obviously I've played with Rayan. I know what he's all about. I know the natural ability and talent he has. So for me, I sort of realised that the bodies were getting attracted to him and just managed to find a nice little pocket of space, and then he has the ability to find me. So
yeah, it was a great assist and a great build-up move by Andy. 2 goals in 5-6 games, whatever it is at this stage. That suggests you're a striker. Would you say that's your position, or are you like how would you describe yourself?
No, in my career previously, I've always sort of been a box-to-box midfielder. So I was originally starting out on the inverted from the left tonight. The gaffer wanted to go ahead with, and don't think, to be honest, it was working too well. He switched it up and I moved into the 10 position, which played a couple of times this season.
And that must be great to work under a manager who can see that and make the adjustments. And you obviously responded, and you individually responded.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, we only probably had 2 days to work on it during the week. So we played the game against Derry last Friday. But the gaffer's fantastic with stuff like that. Obviously, the experience he has, all the games he's played in this league. So if there's anyone to make a judgment call like that,
You seem to enjoy playing in the League of Ireland. It seems to bring the best out of you from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I'm just enjoying playing and getting more minutes, more starts under my belt. Yeah.
And does it suit a player like you, who's obviously well able to play football? Sometimes guys come over from maybe the lower leagues in England where it's a bit more physical, whereas here you do have a bit of physicality, but there's good quality football, and it suits players like yourself. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I obviously wasn't too aware of the league before coming over here, but I'm definitely been surprised so far by the quality levels, and particularly what we've got in our dressing room. It's we've got great quality. And those fans, you're responding to them, and they're responding to you. Yeah. It was, like I said, there's only one place I was going when I scored the goal, and I know obviously how much it means to the area and stuff like that. So, no, it was a great feeling, a special moment.
Well, look, Conor, I'm not sure will you get a few days to go back home and visit the family or whatever now, because this is a bit of a break. But
I'm not going back home. Missus and little ones over here, so we'll just be probably see what the country has to offer. Yeah.
Well, it has a lot of great things to offer. You don't even have to leave Dundalk for that. Conor, well done on your goal tonight. Thanks for talking to us here on the ExtraTime.com League of Ireland podcast. I know that everyone else has gone and you're still here, so if there's a bus you better run because you're going to miss it.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
This is the ExtraTime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. I'm joined by Drogheda United manager Kevin Doherty. Kevin, some of that went up. Well, actually, you know what? First things first, and the most important things first. Fred Draper went off injured. How is he?
Yeah, I think I went straight into him after the game. He had a bit of a cut, and I don't know if hopefully he's not concussed, or he might be, but he's. I think from what I've seen, I'll see him now afterwards again. He seems to be okay.
What are your thoughts on the game?
Very hard to sort of analyse it properly. It's again because I generally hate when managers or coaches come out and say we were the better team, we dominated this, and then you win the game and they're beaten. But that's what happened to us tonight. Thought Dundalk were far more clinical. They got one chance until the last minute when we're pushing forward. We got into such good positions. We pressed well, we won the ball back high up the pitch, we defended well, we set piece after set piece, but we're not getting enough. I mean, even you go back to probably last week with UCD and should have won the game 4-0. Like, but we just have to become more clinical. So, look, I'm sick to my stomach about it because I do think we could have been sitting second at the table tonight.
It's an easy one to say and observe. It's maybe a harder one to answer, but why do you think those chances are being missed? I mean, Rooney had some good chances in the first half. Markey blazed one over. Freddie obviously had that penalty saved. It was a good save, but a striker should probably always score a penalty.
Yeah, look, again, he went the right way, Shepherd, in fairness. I just think in little areas that we just have to improve. And look, the lads, I'm not being critical of players. We were playing against a team that are going to be playing in Europe and have about 5 times the budget that we have and are full time, and our lads are in work this morning. So I hate sounding like I'm being critical. I'm just disappointed because it was there for the taking tonight. I said it to them at half time, don't regret this, and now we do regret it. So the lads are brilliant, they're working so hard. We just need to, it's need even a strong word, we don't need to do anything. We're 8 points, still a good start, and we've played really, really well tonight, bar probably just that little bit of being clinical. So look, we just have to lick our wounds, take the defeat and move on, and a couple of days off now because no game next week, but it's a disappointing result, alright.
It might seem like a silly question. You know me long enough to know I'm perfectly capable of asking a silly question or two, but is that a good defeat in a sense that you performed well, and when you go back into training you don't have to be screaming at lads to up their game, to work harder, because actually if they produce that across the season, you'll be fine, and more than fine.
Yeah. And again, look, I'll sit back and look at it and think about it tomorrow. Like, my initial reaction is to shout and scream, and I'm so disappointed for the lads. Like,
but that's a reaction to the result more than the performance, though.
Well, I mean, the performance also includes putting the ball in the back of the net. Okay. Like, you can perform all you want, you can keep the ball, you can make chances, but if you don't score and you concede, like, there's not much. If you can do that all season, you will get relegated. Like, if you lose every single game. But I get what you mean, and the performance was really, really good, but we do have to be more clinical in certain areas. There's so many balls in the box. As I said, we've worked a lot in training, and genuinely the lads, they're working so hard, and that's why we're saying we will be okay, or we're saying, like, but the performance is really good, but also includes scoring goals as well, and we've created more than enough chances over the last number of games to even win another couple of games, to be honest. But of course, I'm happy with the start. I'm happy with the players. I love them. They're thinking about them all the time. Like, it sounds like
parent.
Yeah, at times you do.
Yeah,
because that's a lot of them are very young, and again, sometimes it comes back to what we have, a lot of young players, and it's going to be a little bit of inconsistency. But I'd be having this conversation if we didn't play well. Yes, we played well, but I do feel we have to just demand. You have to. What's that aim for the start? That thing, we have to try and want, like Barry, have to try and want to win every game, and I think we certainly showed that we tried to win the game tonight. We were very unlucky then, and obviously the penalty save, so we didn't really got a point. Could have went home happy enough. Look, didn't happen, so we just move on.
There's a mini break now. Is it a good time or a bad time for the break for you and this team?
At the moment, I feel like it's a good time. Well, first even for Freddie, I don't know. I haven't see how he is, but the lads have worked so hard. A lot of the time it's been the same 11, and they probably need a few days off. They will get it, to be fair, but it's a good time, I think. Yeah.
Speaking of Freddie, he's played well. I know he missed a penalty tonight, but he's a good player. He's from Lincoln, a loanee from there. It's not the first time that has happened. They seem to trust you. Now, I'm not saying, God, isn't it great the English clubs think we're great. What I'm saying is there's obviously a good relationship there, and it says an awful lot about what you're doing here. Yeah, there is, in fairness. They're a well-run club, I think. Oh, they are very well run. And again, there's not many clubs that would send 2 players that they view that have bright futures to part-time clubs. So yeah, they do value it, and there was someone here tonight, funny enough. It has been at most of the games. Yeah, they do, and the 2 lads are getting so much experience. Would have been nice for Freddie to get the goal tonight, and as I said, hopefully the head injury isn't that major at all. I don't think it is, but we've a good relationship with them. It started years and years ago when Dara had Sean Rowan in his under 12s and under 13s, and then obviously I met Jez George, the director of football, as well, and we spoke about the 2 lads last year, and both did well, and Sean's obviously playing every week for Lincoln, and
Sam did really well here as well, so yeah, it led on to that. And yeah, lucky enough, as you say, they trust us with their players, and I think, look, they're doing well, and it's a good level. They get games like tonight that will really benefit them in the future, but will benefit us presently as well.
Kevin Doherty, thanks for joining us on the extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast.
Thank you.
This is the extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast, joined by Dundalk head coach Stevie O'Donnell. Stevie, a 1-0 victory here in Drogheda. Your thoughts on the performance?
Yeah, scratchy, typical Derby. I thought Drogheda had the best of it first half. We didn't really control the game at any stage, so just delighted that we had the moment of quality. Obviously Boyler intercepts, steps in, gives it to Ray, good feet and a little drop back to Conor, and lovely crisp controlled side foot finish. So we do possess that quality. Delighted with the result, delighted with the last 4 games pre-international break, but we know we can improve and we have to improve.
Is the break coming at a bad time now?
Not necessarily. We have a few bodies, little niggles and that, so we targeted after the first 2 games. I felt in my head if we can just stay in around it in the next 4 games pre-international break, that we'll be stronger post it. So delighted with that. 10 points from the last 4 from possible 12, so we're in a good position now, and hopefully we get a few bodies back, and we're in a position now that hopefully we kick on.
You mentioned a few of your relatively new signings regards the lead into the goal, and there was a few more of them played well tonight. Is that particularly pleasing, that guys who, and fans will always go, not sure, don't know much about these guys, but those guys, they're all playing well, they're all settling in?
Yeah, they're all very good players. It's not easy for them either, coming in late in the day. It's a group that group we have now, I'd love to have for 5 or 6 weeks pre-season, really double down on what we're trying to achieve. It's hard for the players, when you're working week to week, game plan for a specific game of principle, really how we want to go about it. So as I said, they're getting thrown in at the deep end. They're not playing pre-season games.
But they're staying afloat, aren't they?
Yeah, they're doing more than that, more than that. As I said, we've 3 wins and a draw from our last 4. So credit to them, but they'll only get better and stronger, get more used to the league and get more confidence. So like a night like tonight's, winning 1-0, front of the packed away end, it'll want them to really want more of it. And, it'll bring them on massive the last 2 away games, I think.
And how big a boost is it to win a derby and to win in a place where you lost, I think, twice last season?
Yeah, as you see there, I think Drogheda took points off all the top teams last year. Started the season really well. Drew Shamrock Rovers, beat Sligo here, so not an easy place to go. They have a settled squad, settled team. No massive turnover from last year. The spine's still there, so they know each other's game, and they're very effective here. And I thought they played well tonight as well.
Cheers, Stevie. Well done.
Cheers, Oisin.
This is the extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast, and I'm joined on the pitch by former Dundalk and Drogheda player Paul Crowley. Paul, obviously you are of both clubs formerly. Tonight you were of LOI TV/LMFM. Of course, we're saying tonight, but people are most likely listening on St. Patrick's Day. It's a happy St. Patrick's Day for Dundalk supporters. Did they deserve their 1-0 victory here in Weavers Park?
I don't think anybody would have argued with a 1-1 draw tonight here. I have to sit in the fence. No favourites here tonight, as you just spoke about. But I suppose the penalty save at the end, maybe Markey's chance in the first half was probably the clearest chance of the game. It's a stage of the game, was probably about 35 minutes gone where Drogheda should be going 1-0 up. But overall, Dundalk, listen, go down the road, as you say, happier with the Louth teams.
They didn't play overly well tonight, but still got the victory. That's actually a compliment rather than an insult. Can you add a bit of meat to the bones there as to how they did that?
Yeah, listen, I believe it was the same up in Derry last week. They had, if you look at the last 2 games, obviously fantastic performance against St. Pat's, 5 goals, clean sheet. That speaks for itself. And then you go up to Derry and played very clever in my books, because teams are going to go up there and try and go toe to toe with Derry, and it's not going to happen. They sat in, they took their medicine, they got their clean sheet, and they got a point, and they got out of there. Tonight was always going to be a tight affair for both teams. I don't think anyone was going to be able to call tonight. I felt it'd be tight. I didn't think there'd be many goals. There wasn't. But that bit of quality, I was just speaking there to Dave and saying, when you can bring on John Martin, Ryan O'Kane, Alfie Lewis, Robbie Benson, then in the 75th minute, that's draining as a Drogheda player when you see them that sort of quality wheeling off the bench, and the bit of experience, being able to get into corners of the pitch when you're 1-0 up. And then Shepherd tonight was outstanding. His all-round game was fantastic. Wouldn't have seen much of him sweeping in behind centre halves. His kicking was fantastic.
controlling his box, punching balls then at the end, and then again the penalty save at the end, a real complete performance.
Sometimes with good teams you nearly get a sense that they sense when to push forward, when to score, and Boyle made that break down the left. Now he didn't get the final assist for the goal to Malley, but he did play a big part in it.
Yeah, and that's a big part of his game, isn't it? When he sees gaps, he likes to drive with the ball. He's probably playing on a side where he would rather be on the right hand side, but Dave Williams there, who was really solid tonight, I thought was very impressive as well. They were both really good. I thought Dundalk let themselves down a little bit by playing out too much and Drogheda sniffed that where they got their marquee chance from. I talked about it a couple of times, but they didn't try and get out as much in the second half, which I think helped them at times. Drogheda played this pitch to a T. I mean, you look at all the top teams that come here, Shamrock Rovers, Pats, Dundalk tonight, they don't allow you to play. It's the way Kevin has them set up. It's the tightness of the pitch. You don't get to express yourself. I mean, you see some fantastic players, high calibre player in that Dundalk team. This place doesn't allow you to play between the way they're set up and the pitch. But listen, they got the all-important goal in the end. They were patient. It was well worked. It was a great finish.
So 6 games in, Drogheda are in 5th position, Dundalk are in 3rd position. Have Dundalk impressed you so far, or are there still things to work on? What have you made of them?
Yeah, listen, it's very early. I was actually talking to Stephen before the game there, and obviously the start didn't help them. He felt that the season started a little bit too early for him, and he's right in saying that because he obviously got his signings in a little bit later than expected, and that's down to not finding that calibre player that you wanted early and not panic spending, I suppose, as well, and waiting. So, listen, they look like they're finding their feet. A few injuries this week, obviously with the 3 games in a week, but they'll have the squad to deal with injuries as well, and that's going to be important going forward.
And what about Drogheda?
Yeah, listen, they are where they are. They've had a great start of the season as well. They'll be disappointed not to get something out of the game tonight. They haven't lost the game well. It's a game they felt they should have been 1-0 up in, as I spoke about. Like, they always keep themselves in games. What's so impressive about them is they don't concede early against anybody. They keep themselves in games, and even when they go 1-0 down, they will have a go, like you've seen again tonight. They end up getting the penalty, which should naturally bring you back into a game at that stage, but fantastic save from Shepherd, and it just takes Dundalk down the road with points.
What's worse for a player in a team? To play badly and lose 1-0, or to play well knowing you probably should have got something out of the game and to lose 1-0? What's easier to recover from?
Yeah, it's frustrating. Well, listen, initially you'll be disappointed because you feel you've got something out of the game, but when you reflect on it as players and as a team, then you're happier. Listen, that, I mean, the performance was there again, and it's just something they have to just draw a line under now and just move on.
Paul Crowley, formerly of Drogheda and Dundalk, amongst others, thanks for joining us on the extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast.
No problem at all.
So that's almost it from Weavers Park, where Drogheda have lost 1-0 to Dundalk. Had they got something from the game, I don't think anyone could have argued with that. But as you're well aware, that is not how football works. You're probably listening to this on St. Patrick's Day. There's 4 Premier Division fixtures today at 5 o'clock. Cork City taking on Shelbourne. Also at 5, Shamrock Rovers taking on St. Patrick's Athletic in what is now being dubbed the South Dublin Derby. Surely, though, it's South versus West, or South County versus West. Anyway, that's an argument for another day. At 7:45, Bows take on UCD and Derry City take on Sligo Rovers. All of those games are live on LOI TV, except the game at the Ryan McBride Brandywell. That is live on RTE television. In the First Division, a big game between Cove Ramblers and Galway United. What a start Cove have had under Shane Keegan. Galway have had a decent start as well. Those two vying for the automatic promotion spot. Granted, there is a long way to go. Jonathan Higgins will be at that game for us. You can watch it on LOI TV, or you can listen to it on Galway Bay FM with the man I just mentioned there, Jonathan Higgins. At 6 o'clock, Wexford take on Kerry, and at 7:45 at Lone Town take on Treaty United. Now, it's a bit of a bumper week of podcasts for Extra Time. Obviously, Donal presented an English language podcast in which we heard from Jordan McAneff of Derry. What a season he's having so far. And Megan Smith-Lynch also joined him. He is a Gaeilgeoir and joined Aoife Mullen for an Irish language podcast in which they spoke to Robbie Benson, who I didn't realise until the last couple of days speaks Irish incredibly well. But then again, it's not a surprise. He's a 600-point leaving man. He's an actuary. He's a genius. He's a great footballer. He just has everything. He was unlucky not to score for Dundalk against Drogheda, actually, in the derby. He hit the post after coming off the bench. Aoife Mullen, the host of that podcast, joins us now. Aoife, tell us about the Robbie interview.
Yes, Oisin. So, as you said, it's a bumper week of podcasts. Donal Ryan, as you mentioned, was presenting the English edition this week, but he's very versatile because he was also on the Gaeilge version. So the first ever Gaeilge podcast for Extra Time. It's to mark Seachtain na Gaeilge, which is coming to an end with St. Patrick's Day. So embracing all things Irish, we had that podcast Os Gaeilge, and we were delighted to welcome Robbie Benson. As you say, there's very little that man can't do. And you mentioned, and it was great to see that in Weavers Park in the 82nd minute, Robbie Benson came on as a sub, played very well, and actually when the penalty was being taken just beforehand, I noticed that he ran over to Nathan Shepherd, gave him a bit of a pep talk, a bit of encouragement, possibly helped him to save that penalty, but almost put his mark on the score sheet as well, because he almost got Dundalk a second goal. I don't know, he came very close to scoring, and maybe that's something to do with extra time. Maybe it's the extratime.com effect. I'm not sure.
Do an Irish language podcast and you'll almost score in a match. He's a great guy. You know all about Robbie Benson, but he goes into a bit of detail about his career and big moments in his career, so it's well worth a listen.
Yeah, exactly. So he speaks, first of all, I suppose, about his journey and his time at UCD and how that helped him. And I suppose that's very interesting, maybe for younger listeners or even parents of young people who would like to get into football. So great advice from somebody who's very well grounded and obviously got his education and made his way in the footballing world. Interesting that he speaks about his time in St. Pat's as well. So you mentioned the career he's had to date. So he speaks about his
Nave Fodrick, if you will, or Nave Podrick, which is it?
Nave Fodrick.
Okay.
Which is a nice kind of link on St. Patrick's Day. But so he speaks about the two Stephens and their influence. Stephen Kenny, who obviously brought him to Dundalk, and then Stephen O'Donnell, who he spent time with in St. Pat's. And of course, Robbie was the first player to follow Stephen O'Donnell back up the M1 to Dundalk. So he speaks about the influence that both Stephens had in his career. He speaks about, as we said already, the highlights from his time in Europe with Dundalk, and of course that memorable goal with Bate, and kick Pinot, the penalty kick that he scored, and no one will forget that one, in the Aviva to clinch the Corn FAI for St. Pat's, and when they were playing against Bows. And then as well as that, he speaks about his injury trouble. We mentioned he came off the bench today, and I suppose you need to be a resilient person to bounce back, and he speaks quite openly about that, which is really nice. So it's well worth a listen. I'm not going to spoil the whole thing, because we want people to tune in, and whether you have Gaeilge Lifa, no Gaeilge Brista, Bethu Obalta, Éisteachtain on Pod Creile Sin agus éiste Robbie Benson, and as you say, it's great that we had Robbie speaking Os Gaeilge, and happy to do so, and we hope to welcome other players across the season as well. And then just as well as the Robbie Benson interview, there's also a piece with myself, Donal Ryan and Tom O'Connor, looking back on the previous weekend's action. So after 5 match days, we were just doing a little bit of a review of the Premier Division and looking ahead to the Women's National League as well.
Okay, Aoife Mullen, thank you very much. Aoife Mullen, Tom O'Connor and Donal Ryan interview Robbie Benson Os Gaeilge, and that's well worth a listen. But also, you can listen to the extratime.com podcast Os Béarla with Jordan McAneff and Megan Smith-Lynch. You have your choice of two. In fact, you should probably listen to both. Right, that's it. It's St. Patrick's Day. Maybe you're on your way to a game. Maybe you're on your way to Tallaght Stadium. If so, give us a wave, because we'll be there too. I was reading during the week, and I don't know where I saw it, but I'm going to imagine that it was Dodge on Twitter, that this is the first time ever that St. Pat's and Shamrock Rovers, or Shamrock Rovers and St. Pat's I should say, are meeting on St. Patrick's Day, which I thought was an interesting quirk. As always, you can get in contact with me on @Oisin Langan. You can get in contact with the extratime.com through all the usual social media channels, and of course if you go onto the website you'll find an email to contact us on as well. Match reports from all of St. Patrick's Day's matches available a little bit later, plus build up before the games. For now though, I will wish you a very happy St. Patrick's Day. In fact, Aoife, I'm going to let you finish the podcast. You can say that, but Os Gaeilge, I could probably have a go, but I'd likely mess it up, so I'll let you do it.
Well, I think you should have a go. So that's what Seachtain na Gaeilge is all about.
Okay, Lá Bretha na Fodrick? No, that's Happy Day St. Patrick's. I just pretty much mixed up Happy Birthday with Happy St. Patrick's Day. Now you know why I wanted you to do it. So I'll have one more go. Lá Bretha, Lá St. No. Go on, good. You're
getting mixed up. You think you're still talking to Conor Malley and his birthday celebrations. Plenty of birthdays actually. Andy Boyle celebrated his birthday very, very recently, and he's another person who played well for Dundalk. But anyway, back to the farewell, the St Patrick's Day wishes. So Banach Thina Phil Porrick or of Galer, Tosulagam go moin fi Shiv Tatniv Asan Law.
Okay, Aoife Mullen, thank you very much. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.